It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Danny Sullivan from Search Engine Land joins us to talk about Panda? Yes, and some new changes to the Google bar. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 140, recorded March 28th, 2012. Condom or Android? This Week in Google is brought to you by Go to My PC. Go to My PC apps are the missing link for remote access to turn your iPad and iPhone into your office computer. Visit GoToMyPC.com for your free 30-day trial. Use the offer code TWIG. And by Ting.com. Ting gives you big savings and billing clarity for mobile phone service. Try their online savings calculator and save $50 on your device purchase at Ting.com/twig. And by Stamps.com. Time is valuable. Don't waste another minute waiting in line at the post office. Just use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it with your own computer and printer. To get my special offer, go to Stamps.com now, click on the radio microphone, and enter TWIG. Stamps.com, offer code TWIG. It's time for Twig This Week in Google. We are ready to talk about Google, the cloud, the universe, and everything, starting with Gina Trapani, who knows the answer is 42. From smarterware.org. She's also the creator of the ThinkUp app and has some news from the ThinkUp apposphere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
hello.
To do text. Hello, Gina.
How's it going?
Good to see you. It's going great.
Good.
Let's also welcome Jeff Jarvis from the City University of New York. He's back, and he wishes he were in Sweden still.
I had great hearing.
The hearing and the bandwidth. Excellent.
Bandwidth was magnificent, and the bandwidth here in New York City at my university, your tax dollars at work, sucks!
Well, a lot more people are using it. That's really the reason. Buzzmachine.com is his blog. And his book, Public Parts, is available everywhere. Joining us now also from SearchEngineLand.com, Danny Sullivan. It's good to have you, Danny.
Good to be back.
Always good to talk. And actually, it's very timely because you wrote, I thought, a very good article responding to Matt Honen's article on Gizmodo about Google. So let's kick it off.
Okay.
Matt Honen wrote an article in which he said Google is now finally evil. In fact, I've been talking about it. I talked about it yesterday. I talked about it today on Security Now. I don't know if it's you or he who talk about the genesis of this. Paul Buchheit, when he was at Google, I think he was employee like 24, did not want to have the traditional. I think it's you. It comes from Stephen Levy's book in the Plex.
Right, out of his book.
Yeah. He really hated all those traditional mission statements. And there was this get-together at Google in which they were trying to come up with a mission statement. So this is quoting Paul from Stephen's book. So I suggested something that would make people feel uncomfortable but also be interesting. It popped into my mind that "Don't be evil" would be a catchy and interesting statement. And people laughed, but I said, no, really. The slogan made Stacey Sullivan uncomfortable. It was so negative. Can we phrase it "do the right thing" or something more positive? She asked. Marissa and Salar agreed with her, but the geeks, Buchheit and Patel, wouldn't budge. "Don't be evil" pretty much says it all as far as they were concerned. They fought off every attempt to drop it from the list. They liked it the way it was. Sullivan would say later with a sigh, it was very important to engineering that they would not be like Microsoft. They weren't going to be an evil company. But then the New York Times quoted you, Danny.
Yes.
In which you said, I don't think they ever were not evil. So I think the first question is, what does "don't be evil" even mean? I mean, it isn't a typical mission statement because it's a negative. It doesn't say what to do, just what not to do. And it's not clear what evil means in this context. I mean, I think you brought up that, well, when they were saying this, they were competing against search engines that were putting paid results into the search. So that's certainly one thing that was evil.
I think that they've I think that Google, and what I would try to explain in my piece, had also kind of defined themselves against companies that they did consider to be evil. And I think Microsoft to them was especially the big evil, that they looked at that as a company that was going to try to lock people in, that was going to try to keep competitors out, and that was going to do things that was in the company's own interest rather than in, say, the user's own interest. And for a long time, it really did feel like Google thought they were fighting the good fight against the evil being Microsoft. But, as you say, the problem is when you say don't be evil, it's such a binary thing. Either you're good or either you're evil. That's why when the New York Times piece, when they quoted me, it was like, I started getting these messages from people saying, do you really think Google's evil? And I was quoted as saying, I don't think they were ever not evil. What I meant was, I don't think they were ever not evil. I don't think they were ever not good. I think those are way to not allowing any kind of nuances out there.
Typical engineers, they see it as black and white, right?
And in
but
fact,
unlike engineers, there's no definition. Usually you'd have a spec for evil. We need a spec for evil.
You would, and one of the things I talked about in my piece was how when Google decided that they were going to go into China, that Eric Schmidt talked about them having to come up with an evil scale to try to decide just how evil would it be to go into China or not, right? Which was my response to anybody at Google who was like, how could you, say something like that? It's like, well, your own CEO,
right,
says that you guys apparently are evil because you had to figure out an evil scale to decide how evilness or not your thing was. And that's how ludicrous the whole thing was. If they had said, try to do the right thing or do right by the user, they'd gone with something else, you can appreciate, I think, the sentiment that they had or the desire that they had to be doing right. But at this point, Google is such a big, normal company, if you will, that it's impossible for them to do things that are not going to impact somebody adversely. And then you just have that binary switch. And that's why you get what happened, say, this weekend when Matt does a post, and it's just been one of any number of posts where people have been saying, oh, now Google's evil, because they said they didn't want to be evil, so I guess the switch is flipped. That's what we're down to in the discussion.
Well, I think you're right. And the risk is that I'm going to come off like fanboy as usual, but I'm going to come down to it. I think your view of it, Danny, was nuanced, and Matt's wasn't at all nuanced. And it had statements like, people don't trust Google now. Well, I just saw something today that
that came from the Pew Internet study that said 3/4 of people don't want search results tracked.
I'm going to disagree, Leo. There are rhetorical statements in there that suddenly just no one trusts Google anymore.
Right.
And the way that Pew survey was written,
it didn't mention Google.
Biased in my view. Yeah, and it's all in the whole tracking witchcraft.
It's like, how would you feel if somebody were following you around? Yes or no?
Right, exactly.
It's a little weighted.
And then to come out of this and say, well, suddenly now to declare that all people don't trust Google lacks all nuance. And he's just discovered that Google needs to personalize to give us a better service. And that's what the entire piece comes down to in my mind. Gina also had a far more nuanced view of this, which is that, whereas Danny's saying they were never purely good, and Gina's saying we shouldn't give them, assume that they're not going to be worth watching. They should be watched over. And I think that's all true. But at the same time, one more point. I'm suddenly forgetting his name, but my friend whose book is up there, and I'll remember it in a second, says that the cost of doing evil, the cost of doing bad by your customers and your public rises as people can talk about you. And part of the problem, Danny's absolutely right, is by setting the pedestal very high, anytime Google makes a mistake, but doesn't do something evil necessarily, but makes a mistake, screws up, does something wrong. Somebody in the company, this gigantic company, does something wrong. Does that overnight make the entire company evil? That's just absurd on its face.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like the Kenya fraud and the hidden form trickery. I mean, you can say, okay, a team within the company screwed up. And I mean, the great thing about Google is that they come out and say, we're sorry, we shouldn't have done that. Is evil is not a Boolean variable, right? It's not true or false. I think we can all agree to that. But Matt's post is bringing up the question. I think the question is worth asking. People were not asking this question before, and I don't think that this is biased pollsters or sensationalist media or journalists. I think that this is a reasonable question to ask. I mean, I think we all kind of gave Google a pass because it seemed like, because they are a company. They're acting more like a company and less like just a proponent of the open web, which is always how they kind of
But that's Danny's point. They always were a company.
Right, they always were a company, and that's why I really like I like Danny's point. As for how we define "don't be evil," I always define that as the company acts in the interest of the users first instead of the interests of the company, with the understanding that in the end, in the long term, acting in the interest of the users only is beneficial to the company. Can we all agree that that's?
I like that definition.
Yeah,
that's.
Of course, it's also difficult because in the interest of users is not black or white either, right?
No, there's different users. And Siva Vadanathian would argue that and I disagree with him here, but he says that every company must be evil in the sense that they must operate they have a legal responsibility to operate in the benefits, fiduciary benefits of the shareholders.
Yeah, I disagree with that. And I'm with Gina on this one. That in the long term, benefiting the user is good fiduciarily, but it's not. It's in the short term, it may not be obvious, but in the long term, it is.
But the difficulty,
sorry, I can't see you very well, so I'm interrupting. I can't. Sorry. Go ahead, Danny.
I was going to say with two things. One, to what Gina was saying also, that has all these little things that have happened. I think have really gone to the bigger issue of this, where before you wouldn't have questioned Google. Google had all these sorts of crazy things they'd be accused of, but then when you have like, what did you do in Kenya and what did you do with the Safari thing? Suddenly, things that you might have dismissed or you might have said, okay, that's a one-off, they can be added up into something bigger. And I don't think that they really are. I don't think the company said we're going to be evil. I do think the company become more aggressive in a lot of things that they've been doing and not as hesitant to go out and stuff. But I don't think it was like Larry called them all out and said, all right, now we're going to be evil.
I think there's two things. Go ahead, Jeff, and then I'll talk.
I want to disagree with you in one way and then agree with you in another way. I think that the things that were listed in Matt's post, the things you just listed, are actions of one person, one small department, often were screw-ups, often didn't see the unintended consequences, was not corporate policy. So in that sense, I'm going to say they don't add up to any indictment of evil. What I do think does add up to an indictment of evil, that is a corporate policy, that does reflect on the entire company, is Google's devil's deal with Verizon against a neutral web. Screwing up on the Safari thing, screwing up in Kenya even, screwing up here and there. That's some bozo who did something wrong, just like the data that was captured in Street View. Yes, you need a culture that tries to stop people from doing that, but you know what? It is inevitably going to happen. People will screw up or they won't get the culture or whatever. That, to me, doesn't add up. But the Verizon deal is the corporation as a whole saying, you know what? Screw you, whole internet. Screw you, net neutrality. And that wasn't even listed.
But I think that's where it goes to the question of just do right by the user can also fall apart, because I don't think Google thinks that doing that Verizon deal was doing wrong by the user. I think that they were convinced that this was a corporate move that they were making that ultimately is in the user's right interest. And where I think they sometimes
I think there was
wrong,
a lot of argument about that, Danny, wasn't there, on campus? I mean, I think there are a lot of people on Google who said no, this is bad.
Yeah. There are, but I don't think that people will disagree about all sorts of things within Google about what Google ultimately does. But I don't think when you finally make the decision that the people who go forward with those decisions think, this is better for us than the users. We're going to do it. I do.
How do you justify that decision, though? How do you justify that decision? And that'll be to go back, 6 months now.
You can do it. You can do it the same way that they did it, like when they went into China. Well, maybe we got to do this thing first, but we can't make changes with the mobile networks if we're constantly fighting Verizon. So we throw Verizon in them this bone, and then down the line, in 5 years, we're able to do like what we did with Sprint, and now we can have the porting numbers, or we can do other stuff. So I think that where they tend to go wrong is not understanding that. I think that Google gets a corporate view of what they think is right for the user, and they cannot be shaken from it. And you'll have other people who will say, I'm sorry, we don't necessarily agree with you. And it's like, oh, well, you're just wrong. It's like, no, it's much more nuanced than that. And it's actually not that everybody's necessarily wrong. It could be that both people are right, both people are wrong, or maybe you really are wrong on this sort of front. And that's what I don't tend to get from Google sometimes, is this sense of, we made a mistake here in our corporate decision. When they make mistakes that are obvious.
I also think that they do a bad job and in defending themselves when they need defense. That we've had this discussion on the show many times, but all in all, I think that the consolidated privacy policy, the simplified privacy policy, is all in all good. But the press against it is extreme, not just press, but also government action. And they didn't explain it well. They didn't say it well. They didn't realize what people were going to think about this. It's still the problem I've said on the show before that that some see them as Godzilla and they see themselves as Snuffleupagus, but in either case, you can crush the hamster.
There's a thanks to Ohm's Law in our chat room. Great name, Ohm's Law. There is a Wikipedia page in which all of the criticisms of Google have been encapsulated. If you would like to go through what people are complaining about, it strikes me that there's two different kind of schools. One is that moral panic that you and I have talked about, Jeff, where we say, yes, Google's tracking us. Oh, my God. And all of this was really I think a lot of this conversation comes from the fact that on March 1st, only a few weeks ago, Google unified all the data from all of its sites and forced people to read the privacy policy, which I think most would agree. Forcing people to read the privacy is not evil. To have a privacy policy, a unified privacy policy, is a good thing. And then, so some people just hate tracking cookies, but then it is hard to forget these kind of consistent, starting, I think, with the Street View incident where they were gathering access point information from open access points, which I think we agree really was just an error, an engineering error, and it wasn't useful. But I think that's where I would say it began. Certainly China, Kenya, iOS, Safari, and then you talk about it, and I think Matt talks about it particularly. What bothers me more is Google's fundamental business, which is the search business, being corrupted by a desire to, and I'll quote Matt, in trying to deliver personalized results, Google polluted the page with its own inferior products. Google Plus instead of Twitter, Google Places instead of Yelp, while banishing competitors to lower listings in their results. And that's to me, that was Search Plus Your World. That was to me when it really started to, we could make excuses for engineering errors, rogue teams, moral panic in the case of tracking cookies. But I care about Google search results. And when they start promoting their own products above other products in search results, that's to me when it's demonstrably, I don't want to say evil, because that's not evil. It's no more evil, as you point out, Danny, than Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and everybody else. But that's when it's kind of started to put its own interests ahead of its customers' interests. Gina, would you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, if Google's products were returning as good or better search results than other products, then I would say, fine, it's okay. But, if you focus on the user.org, we talked about this. Google's, Google Plus, Search Plus Your World, which is the default setting if you're signed into Google, is just not better. And Google will say that their data shows that it is better, that people are, that the behavioral data that they've captured shows that Search Plus Your World results get better response than without it.
Right.
And I don't like this in the black bar. This is really, to me, reprehensible. They're forcing everybody who uses any Google page to see this Google bar. And now I've got an ad, what is essentially an ad for Play. But this is where I split off, and I don't necessarily like it either. And I think that the search results are, one could argue that they were badly done, but I don't think that I keep coming back to the media example. Yahoo doesn't promote Google. The New York Times doesn't promote the New York Post. It is a company and a product, and it actually uses its own space far, far less than other companies promote things. Go from that page, and then you go to the Yahoo page, and you tell me who's thinking of the user first, still. Number two is that, they do go off the data. They do insist that their search results are improved by social. The area, I don't think search is dead by any means, but I think what Google has done is proved Mark Zuckerberg right, that every company must become social, including Google. And yes, they are going for signals. And no, it doesn't violate our privacy to know that we search for pizza and they give us pizza, for God's sakes. That's the moral panic thing. So what you have here is two things going on. One, is Google going to promote its own products? Yes. Does it do that in the core search? Not really in the search results. Does it put in social stuff? Yes. Do they believe that that's going to improve search in the long run for each of us? Yes, I think they do believe that. Okay.
Yeah, they believe that. They do believe that.
It's really complicated also because some of the things that Matt's talking about, he's mixing things up.
Right.
Search Plus Your World didn't put Yelp into things versus Google Places. And in fact, we still have Yelp within Google. And we're actually talking about things like Google Maps, which in some cases, getting the map is a far better search experience than when you would do a search and you wouldn't get it. However, it was coming up. So there's that confusion that's beginning with. There's also confusion between the idea of personalizing search results based on social signals, which has a lot of advantages and has a lot of potential to it. Because goodness knows using the link signals that we have out there is becoming more and more archaic.
Right.
But there's also the issue of then also just trying to get people to use Google Plus itself by taking part of your search results page and shoving this here, or doing too much of what I call Google Plusifying everything, and it's all in your face. But the core stuff that they're doing isn't different than what you do at Bing. I mean, you go over to Bing, it's personalized based on your Facebook data, and it's just going to happen. And if you want to turn it off, just like Google, you got to deliberately log out and you got to prevent it from happening.
But if a Twitter result is a better result, or if I search for Lady Gaga and the Twitter result is a better result than the Google Plus result, but the Google Plus result shows up first, to me that's modifying search results to benefit yourself. No, it's not about social signals. It's about...
And tell me what company doesn't do that.
Well, I'm not saying no. And I made this point, and you made this point, that Amazon, Microsoft, everybody does this. But that's what Google was saying. Don't be evil. We won't be like them.
But there's the definition of evil. Is that evil or is that business?
And that's one of the key things I think they get into when you come back to what do we do for the user. The way they have promoted Google Plus has been very, very in your face. And it has made me and a number of people scratch our heads and think, what on earth is going on that you guys have done this? And at the same time, if you go back to Matt's piece where he's saying, well, Eric Schmidt screwed up by not cutting a deal. It's like, yes, it is a screw up that they don't have a deal with Facebook and Twitter. And then on the flip side, they did have a deal with Twitter, and maybe they were never going to get a deal with Facebook. Right. And maybe part of the issue here is not just that they didn't get a deal, but that Twitter and Facebook have data that is actually belonging to us. The people who create it. And if we want our data to be in our friggin' Google search results, they should be there whether or not Facebook and Google decide they want to do a deal or not. If I want to go through on Google and search through and find all of my tweets, I want to be able to do it from Google. And I don't want to be prevented from being able to do that because whatever it is that Twitter has is a problem with Google, and whatever it is Google has a problem with Twitter is preventing that from happening.
Problem is Twitter. And, God knows, for years I've been bitching about that, and that Twitter's a silo.
So Google's getting blamed for
it. And I think in that kind of climate, you look at Google saying, well, if I did this interview with Amit Singhal, who runs Google Search, right? And this was 2 weeks after Search Plus Your World came out. And he finally started talking about, look, we built all this stuff around Twitter. We built all these things into Google, which a lot of people have forgotten used to exist, right? You could go into Google News and see the number of people who tweeted things. You could see people who had tweeted stuff associated with a story. And he's saying that basically the deal expired. We couldn't get it to keep going, and we had to take apart all this stuff that we had lots of engineers working on. And I think Google's lesson from that was we can't depend on somebody else. We'll have to build something our own, and I think that their mindset is...
Matt Cutts was on this show and said that. I know.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was with the Google Plus engineers who were very upset when they lost that stuff. They wanted that stuff. It's not because they're trying to screw Twitter. Twitter screwed them and us because, again, you're right, Danny, it's our stuff.
Well, and I did a different piece that was called something, I think it was like social detente or something like that. I'll look it up later. But what I was trying to suggest is that maybe there's a way that we can get to having it so that it was called a proposal for social network detente. And what I was saying was that things like the actual content that we create on Twitter or Facebook ought to be public and ought to be crawlable by anybody. Right.
Well, Gina, I don't mean to get ahead of us, but is that what ThinkUp app can help fix?
It is one of the things that ThinkUp can help fix. But the way we get around it is that everyone kind of creates their own.
You're not getting the fire holes.
Gets their own API they're basically using their own API access, right? So the issue is that the Googlebot can't crawl. I mean, Twitter creates open web pages, public web pages, right? Facebook doesn't. So at least Twitter's a little ahead of Facebook in that it's creating a bunch of web pages. And you think, well, why can't the Googlebot just go, retrieve all those pages? It would be incredibly inefficient, but also it's just subject to limits, right? So Google has to have the fire hose, which is the stream of up to the minute tweets, and that's part of, I think, what they lost. Although I'm sure that deal that they had involved lots of other tech.
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, one of the things that ThinkUp is trying to solve is to make this decentralized, to not have one search engine just crawling Twitter, but to have your own installation that uses your own API calls and captures your data and makes it searchable and retrievable. It's a tough problem though, and it's not the most efficient solution for us.
Let's take a break. We'll talk. I want to talk more about that ThinkUp reboot because that's a definite hot topic. Google I/O and. Somebody suggested that your number this week, Jeff, should be 1. The number of elephants who use Galaxy Note phones. We'll show you that video. It's coming up in just a bit. But first, let's talk about Go to My PC from Citrix, the best way to get remote access on your Mac or your PC. Absolutely, bar none, secure, easy, uses NAT traversal so you don't have to punch holes in the firewall. That's always a risk. And what's great about it is Go to My PC puts your office computer into your iPhone or your iPad. Now, that's cool. Try it free for 30 days. Visit gotomypc.com. Click that Try It Free button. Use the offer code TWIG, T-W-I-G. You can put it on your Mac or PC at work. Or you can do it at home, whatever. But the point is put it on a computer and then hit the road. Download that free app for the iPhone or the iPad. And you can log into that computer, Mac or PC, and do anything you could do if you're sitting right in front of it. Edit a PowerPoint, update a spreadsheet, print documents, work on files, send and receive email just like you were at work. It is amazing. It is secure, 128-bit SSL. It is easy to use, and it's super fast because they use some very sophisticated algorithms to make sure that they only update the parts that change. You'd be amazed. It really looks like you're using a Windows machine on your iPad or iPhone. Try it today. Go to mypc.com. The offer code is TWIG, T-W-I-G. I think you will like it. And we do thank our friends at Citrix because they're great supporters. It also works on Android tablets, by the way. I should have mentioned that since we are this week in Google. iPhone, iPad, and Android tablets. So what is the we wrote an article on smarterware.org, ThinkUp, reboot, and a special request. Gina, why don't you fill us in on this?
Neil Dash and I have applied to the Knight Foundation's News Challenge, which is a media contest that awards grants to its winners. So we entered ThinkUp into the contest.
Cool.
Essentially. So the special request is that you like our application on Tumblr because that'll help us advance to the next round. That the number of likes and reblogs on Tumblr helps the Knight Foundation choose finalists to get onto the next round because they got like 1,000 applications and there are only going to be about 5 winners.
Oh well,
so
that's easy.
It's a great contest, and
what is it? What is it, Jeff? What do they do?
The Knight Foundation is the key funder of journalism projects and education in the U.S. I am the director of the Tau Knight Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism, and thank you very much, those two foundations, for making it possible. And
we should point out that gives Gina no advantage.
No, none whatsoever, nor me. I've applied for it and lost.
Okay. It doesn't even help you.
No, they run. I mean, and they run a lot of different things. They do community stuff, and I'm helping some people in New Jersey do a proposal right now. But the Knight News Challenge is an effort to get people to create new technology, new ways to do journalism, all kinds of new things, and get innovation going. And God bless Knight, you'd think they'd be kind of stick in the mud-ish being a foundation. They're the opposite. They're kicking the industry in the ass, saying you got to change, you got to do new things. So they just changed the Knight News Challenge. It used to be once a year. Now it's 3 times a year with a theme, and this theme is networks. And one of the great things about it, what makes me so delighted, is if suddenly now, for the first time, the mainstream news industry can get Gina Trapani's brains and smarts involved in what we do and vice versa, I think that's a great cross-pollination and so necessary. And so that alone is one of the great benefits of the Knight News Challenge. My friend John Bracken is one of the people running it, and he's overloaded with 1,000 applications. They have a jury of unnamed people who will go through this with some meticulous care. And then there'll be further rounds. But I would suggest, Gina, that no matter what happens with this one, keep going with Knight because they're smart people that recognize your smarts and they'll know how much we need you.
And let me show everybody
Thank you.
what Gina is asking you to do, step by step. You could go to smarterware.org and you can just click a link there. Or you can go to newschallenge.tumblr.com and click the search entries and enter ThinkUp.
ThinkUp in there.
And search, and the very first result will be your application to ThinkUp, and then there's a heart. You've already got 293, but let's see if we can get that number up. I'm going to add one right now.
Watch out, the
Thank
power
you, Leo.
of Twig.
I can't imagine that anyone could conceivably even come close to the number we can get right now if each and every one of you watching live and those of you listening after the fact and watching the video go to the Knight Foundation newschallenge.tumblr.com and click that heart next to ThinkUp.
There are very few things that I would want to throw the power of Twig behind. This is something that's important enough to me to ask. And Jeff, I just wanted to thank you very much for your kind words, and from your lips to John Bracken's ears. I'm really excited about this, and our chances are really slim. Chances are we won't make it. This is a super prestigious contest, and there are some amazing entries, but we're hoping that they'll consider it. We're actually converting Expert Labs, which was the nonprofit funding organization for ThinkUp, into a commercial entity. So Anil and I are co-founding a new ThinkUp company, and this
capitalism,
is kind of one of the
baby.
Yeah, I know. That's it. I'm going for it. I really am a capitalist. I think I said that a couple of shows ago that I've been converted. But this is one of the initial kind of avenues of funding that we're looking at. We want to get some kind of smart, good money behind us, and Knight is what we'd be honored.
Which is important too. Knight doesn't just give to not-for-profits, which is very unusual for a foundation. They also will give to for-profit ventures. I don't know how it's structured as a loan or a grant or whatever. And they're going to do some investments too. So they funded a Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism. They want to fund entrepreneurs, and that's a good thing.
Yes, in fact, on the application, they ask you, how do you intend to run this, make money from this business, or continue this business after the grant is up. So we really like that. So we're giving it a chance. The whole idea about ThinkUp for us is, the pendulum swings, right, from centralized to decentralized and back, right? So it used to be mainframes and dumb terminals, and then, it was the web, and you push the computing power out to the edges. And now we're kind of getting back to centralized again, right, where you have these big, giant behemoths hosting all of our data and doing all our computing for us. And, you saw the same thing with smartphones, right? Like at first there were no apps, but now there are apps where, we're all walking around with a computer in our pocket, which is something that seemed insane years ago. I think, and Neil and I believe that, setting up people who have their own who run their own web services can capture and archive data and analyze it in ways that are just never going to happen in the centralized model that we have now. So it's a really ambitious goal to kind of decentralize the social network, to create a peer-to-peer way to capture and archive your data and exchange between those peers. But we're going to give it our best shot. So this is just the beginning.
Gina, one question: If I am waiting for the hosted solution because I'm an idiot, but when that day comes and I have my page of all my blatherings, Google at that point. I'm going back to Leo's original question. Google could obviously scrape that with my great assent, and
so there you go.
That's the stuff that can. There's no reason that it can't appear in search if I have the most authoritative. Well, no, wait, that's what I'm asking. No, then it's not a Twitter feed so much. It's Jeff's ThinkUp app social page that happens to have the most authoritative Lady Gaga tweets on it. Right. Now you get out of that Twitter deal, and now you become just plain content again, right?
Exactly.
Well, and it is true. If I search for Jeff Jarvis, I find your number one result is your blog. A number two result is your blog, then Wikipedia, then Twitter, then Google+. So, they're not being evil in that regard. They would, I'm sure, put it up there. Although we do find a page for you, but you have to sign up to follow Jeff Jarvis on Twitter and all of that.
And I even signed up for their author program, so that's why I get the little logos there.
You little bug. You're getting the Geek. That's good. You're getting Gutenberg the Geek.
I promoted.
Yeah,
that's great.
Cool.
Yeah, see, features like that, the author byline in search results, that little link that says "Ask your friends" on Google Plus. That seems like reasonable promotion of Google Plus to me. That doesn't bother me.
Well, but let me show you. Let me show you the autocomplete on Jeff Jarvis, and this is where I get a little bit buggy. on it.
Right, and that's the default, right? You have
That's
to
the
opt out
default.
of that, or
you have to turn off personalized results.
See,
I guess
the problem with the author thing is that when they rolled out the author tag last year before we had Google Plus, and it was the way that you could have a buy linked to really whatever you wanted to as a verified author. It didn't have to go to your Google Plus page. It could be going to your Facebook page if you wanted to. And then after Google Plus came out, it morphed into basically being you have to have a Google Plus account if you want that to be happening. And that's actually a really bad example of where you're like, why did you do it that way? Because you really want us to use Google Plus, and you've made it much more easier for people to have a buy offline. To where I have an author page at Search Engine Land. Why can't I point people to that page? Why do I have to point them to this one? And that's because that's the way they changed how authorship was supposed to work.
if I'm not somebody's friend on Google Plus, will it still do that?
Yes, I'm logged out right now completely, and I'm in incognito mode, and I get that by Jeff Jarvis.
Yeah.
And if I click on the by Jeff Jarvis...
Terry Grant's not going to have a page.
Who has a Google Plus page that I'm not following? That's what I need.
Jason Calacanis.
Yes, there's a... Actually, I think I am following him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Good try, but no.
Now, but I mean, Google will argue that the reason that they've done that also is they're trying to help verify people's identities, that they think that they can improve search results if they know who Jeff Jarvis really is.
Well, that's true. I was bitching when I made a Google profile, and it wasn't the first thing on my Google search results, so...
Right. They should be, but I think part of what Danny's saying implicitly is they're not explaining this well enough. That there is a rationale behind what they're doing, but they always remain so mysterious about it. We don't say what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that's not just Google. I've argued that the media industries and the advertising industries and other technology companies are just so bad about not just putting out legal documents, but also letting us into the tent in their thinking about why they're doing it and what they're trying to accomplish for the users. And then the users have a different view. And again, I keep on going back to Amazon. Why did we give this recommendation? Here's why. That's all we want.
Yeah. Here, and it may be just a feeling. It may not really be logical, but here's what it feels like. It feels like Google Plus is already starting to look like another buzz, another failed product from Google. I have to say, that's the feeling I get anyway. And that they're still trying to force it down people's throats.
It's not anything like Buzz.
It's better than Buzz. Buzz was a really horrible experience.
It's far better than Buzz. I'm going to do a post. I've been trying to write this. Maybe I'll finally get it done this weekend. But it basically says something like, Google Plus is Google's Apple Store. So, number one, it has succeeded in the fact that it has allowed a bunch of Google, to some degree, fanboys and fangirls, if you want, to go in there and have a place that they can conglomerate. And there are people who like Google, who want to talk about Google, want to be happy with Google, who simply do not want to do that over Facebook, and they have found a home there. Believe me,
But if that's all Google Plus, if all Google Plus is a place to talk about Google,
no, I don't talk about just Google there. I talk about lots of things there.
I'm not saying that's the only place it is. I'm not saying that's the only thing it is, but I'm saying that is one thing that they have never had before that is useful for them. Okay. That in some ways is almost better support forums. That people who use this product all the time can go in there and interact with it. And that alone, I think, kind of makes it successful for them. But it's more than that. There are people in there.
Well, photographers, for instance, it's a great place if you're a photographer.
There are people in there who are commenting. There are people in there who do post the content there. It is not the activity level that I see anywhere near like what you see on a Facebook or a Twitter.
Right. But I'm going to disagree, Danny. Not for me, and part of it's because I have a lot of followers. But I find that the quality of conversation is better in Google Plus than I find certainly on my blog, and that's partly my fault, right? And to some extent, depends on the day, depends on the mood of the universe. In Twitter, I find the conversation there just.
No, I'll agree with you on that. Even on Facebook, Facebook's a lot of spam and there's garbage.
Yeah, it is now. It's bad.
It's still kind of a geek salon.
That's why.
It's still very kind of nerd centric, like tech journalist centric, right? And that's what we are. So those are kind of our people. So it seems like the conversation is a little bit better.
I don't know, Gina, you've got almost 1 million followers, don't you?
I do. And well, I have to clean out a lot of spam on almost every post. And, it's funny. I wrote my response to Matt Honen's piece on Gizmodo against Google on Google Plus because I knew that it was the best chances I had for Google, like the most Google employees would see it if I posted it there instead of on my blog. That was a pretty mindful decision. But Google Plus is way better than Buzz and way far better than Wave. And I think it's going to be around a lot longer.
Yeah, because they're putting all their horses behind it.
Well, right. I don't think that
they're
Google
forcing
Plus
it down
going away
our
is an
throats.
option. Yeah, they are, but it's not going away. I don't think that's an option. I don't think that's an option in the company. I think the company has made this decision that this is their core product, that this is just Google from here on in.
That's what kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
They're using their clout as a search company to promote products like Google Plus.
That haven't won on their own merit.
That haven't won on their own merit.
They're using their clout as a phone company to promote their maps.
It's difficult because on the one hand you can say that, and on the other hand you can say, okay, we know that we need to have social signal to improve our search quality.
Right.
We also know that we cannot get the social signals from
that's their
Facebook or
argument.
Twitter.
I understand.
So what? And Matt said this also. It's like, well, what do you want them to do? Right? At that point, it's like there's no argument against them having this in many ways. I think that there is an argument that they should have a system for people who want to favor content or share content or indicate that in a way that could interact with their Google search results to be able to do that directly. That is one guaranteed way for them to go forward to have better signals, unless people really enjoy content farms and link spam. Unless we think that is going to somehow get better. We've got to have something else.
Amen,
so
brother.
There's nothing wrong with that, but they are all in, and then they're borrowing chips and throwing it all over there, and that's where you kind of want to say, really? Did you have to do the people and pages thing up over here? Did you have to throw in every single possible thing you could do, and then also get Lady Gaga to do it as well?
Right.
Could you just mellow out a little bit?
Right. But that's my feeling, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's execution, though. That to me is not that's
not evil.
That's clumsy execution, and that's what we discussed last week. That's why you hope someone like a Kevin Rose brought in says exactly what Danny just said. Come on, do you have to do that?
Right.
And they need more of that in the company. But that to me is not going to go back to the thesis of the day, evil or good. That's good or bad execution.
Well, I guess to wrap it up and move on. People are saying in the chat room, well, every company does this. You do this. Leo does this to promote. He promotes other podcasts. But I didn't say we're going to set ourselves up as. I guess what we're asking of Google is if you're going to be the company that indexes the internet, if you want to be the guardian of that you kind of have to recuse yourself from the normal promotional hurly-burly of the day-to-day world. That's what don't be evil means. No, but that's what don't be evil means is we're going to be above that because we are the keepers of the search engine.
But I think you're limiting them
of the web in that respect.
And this is where Danny was headed too, I think. They are, and Matt as well, they want to be the answer company. And the way to be the right answer company is to be able to know enough about you so that they can anticipate your intent and feed it.
Okay. So be it. And if you do that, get ready because you're going to get these conversations about are you evil.
Yes, I agree.
That's the consequence. Fine. You want to make that pivot and be the answer company, fine. And people like me and you and everybody else are going to say, well, that sucks.
Well, it's getting there. Google has always had a balancing act and has gotten more and more harder for them to do as they compete with the same things that they list. The balancing act is people trust your search results, that they're supposed to be giving them the best information. And for a long time, Google's delivered that, and delivered it even in some cases where, they would have conflicts. One of the biggest conflicts is any page that carries AdSense is potentially something that Google would want to favor over another page. You really haven't had people say over the years that every time I do a search result, I only get the pages that have AdSense on it.
Right.
And so they seem to have gotten that balance right with these inherent conflict. But now when you start having these things where you're like, okay, I'm doing these searches and I'm also getting all this Google Plus stuff, but it might have been better if actually you had suggested a Facebook link to me or Twitter link to me. Why are you not doing that? That's where people start to go to, do I still trust these search results? And that's the balancing act that they need to get right so that we continue to trust the search engine to be the search engine as we want it, but that they're also able to go out here and build out these other things that may help the search engine as well as advance their other business goals. And that's just between us, the user, and Google. There's a whole nother argument when you get onto the antitrust aspect, which is if you have a dominant stance in search, and you decide that you want to start pushing a social network, have you used your dominant stance in a way that violates antitrust laws? And that's part of what we'll see that's going to be happening. But what I will say is that same kind of argument can come back to then haunt, say, Facebook. Because if you have a dominant data situation at Facebook and you're only providing that data to one search engine, that being Bing, because they're the underdogs and we think the underdogs will do better, and you're not cutting any kind of a deal at all with Google, then potentially you're going to find yourself in 4 or 5 years having another antitrust argument being pointed at you saying you need to open all that stuff up. And you need to figure out a way that there's a fire hose that anybody can get to that data, if it's public data, without it feeling like you're having some kind of favored nations thing going on there.
Yeah.
What we really see going on is an effort to negotiate new norms. I keep on saying this. I just read a magnificent book, and this ain't going to appeal to everybody, called The Institutional Revolution. That goes back to why did we move from things like patronage to run the army and run the Navy and paid positions and all these odd things back in the early period of UK to these new systems. And he's an economist, and he argues, well, because we could measure things and we could thus measure performance, and trust came out of measurement rather than out of patronage. And the institutions of society had to change and catch up, and they're always behind the technology. What we're seeing here is this idea, well, already we've turned Google into this institution of saying, well, they're the search engine, thus, that ... Well, they don't even know what they are yet. They're not finished being what they are yet, I think. And so we're seeing constant birthing pains going on here in what's around us, not only for the old institutions, retail, companies, government, universities, but also for the new institutions. Google is already a new institution. And it's a painful process because the change is just going to keep on having an impact on what we expect of them.
We're going to take a break, come back with more. It's a great panel, I got to tell you. When you have Danny Sullivan, Jeff Jarvis, and Gina Trapani on one panel, you know we're going to get some heavy-duty conversation right now on Google, the cloud, and more. Let's talk a little bit about cell phone companies. When you think of cell phone companies, do the words fair, honest, clear, usable leap to mind? No. That's why Ting is trying to reinvent cell phone service. When Elliot Nass of Two Cows came and showed us Ting last fall, I was so excited. I said, I cannot wait to tell people about Ting, Ting.com. It's built on the Sprint network. So if you've got great Sprint service where you live, Ting will be a great choice for you. But what I love about Ting, first of all, and I'm really pleased now, Ting is offering some very nice top-of-the-line Android phones. They are primarily an Android company, so you're going to get a smartphone. 4G, yes, on the Sprint network. But what you've really got to look at is how they price it. Because essentially what you decide is how many phones you're going to have. Let's say we're going to have a family plan, so that's $6 per phone, $24 up front. Then you choose, and this is separated, by the way, minutes, text messages, and megabytes. Some people use a lot of minutes and not many megabytes. Most of us, geeks, use few minutes, a lot of text messages, and a ton of megabytes. But you're not stuck with these plans, okay? Now, what I just set out for 4 phones would be $92 a month total. $92 a month. I get free voicemail, picture and video messaging, 3-way calling, caller ID, tethering, hotspot, and more. 4 phones, a family, $100, less than $100 a month. But here's the beauty part. If I don't use all this, they give it back to me at the end of the month. And if I use more, there's no penalty. They just charge me at the same rate for what I use. So you pay for what you use and no more, save a lot of money. I mean, I'm talking a lot of money. Here's a tweet from a user, new customer, February 19th. My Ting FTW, it's at Ting FTW on Twitter, phone bill was $22 last month. $22, that's exactly $100 less than with AT&T. Family of 4, actual usage across our 4 phones last month, 2,387 minutes. 4,000, this is obviously teenagers, 227 messages, 429 megabytes of data. AT&T, $244. Ting, $103 a month. You can find out how much you'll save if you've got your usage. Go to ting.com/twig and run the savings calculator, and you can figure out exactly how much Ting will save you. There are other reasons to go with Ting. The best customer support I've ever seen in a cell phone company. A no-hold policy when you call their 800 number during regular business hours. Once you get a service rep on the line, they will work through the problem and solve it. No-wait customer support. Email support. You could blog. They've got a blog. You can tweet them. It's run by geeks, frankly. And they've got some great new devices that I'm very pleased, including the Samsung Galaxy 2, the 4G, and the Motorola Photon. It says, I love this, if it's the top of the line ye be wanting, look no further than the Photon. The Motorola Photon, the world phone your mom would ask for if she was awesome and had a taste for the top of the line, dual-core, and so forth. Now, notice the price. It's a less subsidized price, although if you use the Twig offer code, we'll save you $50 off on the phone. But this is one of the ways they do it. You pay a fair price for the phone, and then you only pay for what you use. It just makes a lot of sense. You want less expensive phones, they have a variety of Android phones. Just simple. The online management of your account is fantastic. You'll know exactly where you stand at all times. Ting.com. Visit them today and just run that calculator at ting.com/twig and see what you would save. Integrity, honesty, clarity, usability. Yes, there is a cell phone company that offers that. Ting.
Who would think you could have an unevil phone company?
I was going to say they're de-evilizing an industry.
They're really, and that was what Elliot said to me. He said, we got to fix this. It's broken. And because, by the way, no ETF penalties, you're month to month, that's why the phone costs a little bit more, because you're month to month. There's no early termination. Yeah.
That's a good fight to be in.
I like it, don't you? Yeah. I said, Elliot, I will do these for free. No, I didn't. I almost did, though. I said, Elliot, I said, even if you don't buy ads, I will absolutely talk about this because this is a revolution. Google I/O. Did you sign up, Jeff?
Yes, I did.
Yay! It's a good thing. Sold out in 20 minutes.
My T-shirt size in there and everything.
We don't know what fancy free stuff you're going to get, but the tickets sold out in 20 minutes. You got to think, Gina, that the fact that the last two I/Os, people have received all this stuff, phones and tablets, and that has something to do with how fast. Because they raised the price. They doubled it, didn't they, this year?
Yes.
$900.
The swag is definitely part of it.
Yeah.
And there's just the surprise of it. It's the possibility that you're going to get a device that isn't out yet, or that's a special edition that's happened. And it's a great event, though. They expanded it. I think it's 3 days this year, right? Or it's one day more.
Yeah.
And it really is a great event. Great parties, great sessions, and just, really fun place to be. But also, the gadgets are really cool. It doesn't surprise me at all.
They may decide the swag is evil this year, though.
You know what? That's fine. It's still a great event. June 27th, 28th, 29th. But, we shouldn't really sell it, Gina, because nobody else can, if you don't have a ticket.
Well, you can go to the extended ones. It's like the TED extended ones.
Yeah.
You can,
okay.
You can set up your own swagless Google I/O
Oh, that's all right, then. That's all right. 90 days to sell out in 2009. 50 days in 2010. 59 minutes in 2011, 20 minutes in 2012. At this rate, next year, it's already sold out.
Well, next year, they already, since they know so much about you, they'll know whether you want to come or not. And you'll just be signed up.
I'll just send you a ticket.
Google knows.
Google knows.
And as Anil said last year, free browser under every seat.
This is not Jeff's number. The number one. This is definitely a Samsung viral ad about Peter the elephant. So Peter the elephant. Now, I have to say, so there's a Galaxy Note, which is the phone I use. It's a ginormous phone. And there's Peter the elephant, who is clearly a trained elephant. But doesn't that look like a synthetic proboscis?
They make a point saying below that there's no video trickery.
It's real. I didn't know elephants were. Look at it. He can strum a guitar.
God, this is a germaphobe's nightmare.
No, it's not slimy.
God.
Look at this. He swipes through pictures with his little. It looks like a little finger.
Right.
Look how good he is.
There isn't some elephant snot going on there.
There's no snot. This is a trunk. And look, he can even draw. I didn't know elephants had opposable trunks, but apparently they do. He can hold an S Pen. Actually, I don't think that's an S Pen. Maybe it is. I don't know. This is my favorite. He takes a picture. Snap.
Okay, that's adorable.
Okay.
The
And
whole
it's-
thing is just adorable. The best is coming up.
Aw, nice
Go.
elephant.
Here's the best part.
Bye-bye.
Aw.
That's
So-
not a wild elephant,
So
I'm
big,
guessing.
even an elephant can use it. That's
Yes.
that's the marketing message here. Okay, all right.
You know
I'll do
what?
that.
It works for me. I got elephantine fingers.
Every time I look at the Note, I want it, even though I don't want to carry the thing around. I hate the fact that the phones have gotten larger and larger than versus my iPhone, but then I look at the Note and I think, but that's smaller than something else. So anyway,
I'm very happy with it.
Joe's very
And
happy.
I even bulked it up more by putting it in a like kind of fancy leather case, but it slides in my pocket. The case kind of impedes it a little bit, but it slides in my pocket.
That's pretty.
I mean,
sartorially abhorrent.
no, wait a minute. Let me take it out. If I take it out of the case, it's very slim and beautiful. It's very nice, and it slides in pockets very easily.
but this is where I really wish that I could just more easily turn my phones into accessories, where I could just slide one into the other, because sometimes
Yeah.
I want the small one,
Oh, that's
sometimes
good.
I want the big one.
The
and,
Matryoshka
just-
phone.
I just carry different devices.
I love it.
Wait,
Matryoshka phone. No, I couldn't be happier with it, and I just love that ad. It just makes me right. Here is a post from blog.intercom.io that might help you choose your next Android phone. Is it a condom or is it an Android?
I love this.
It's great.
Yeah, this is good.
I don't even want to go on. So if what you do is these are all actually we could play this game, but you all seen it, right?
I can't remember.
No, I
All right,
just
all right.
saw
Let's
it.
play
Other
this
than the
game.
jingle,
I will
I
say
don't
the
think
name
it's
of
condom.
an Android phone. You tell me condom or phone. Desire.
Phone.
Phone.
It
Both.
should be condom.
Both. Hero.
Oh,
Phone.
phone.
Right.
Both.
Resound.
Phone.
Phone.
Oh.
Oh,
Ultra thin.
both.
Condom. Here's a trick one. Sensation.
Phone.
Both.
Both.
Touch.
Both.
Both.
Phone.
Cruise.
Condom.
Both.
I think I remember that one. Oh, my
However,
goodness.
cruise control is a condom only. Wildfire.
Phone.
Falling wild. Phone.
Both.
I'm at a distinct disadvantage here, people. I do not like
You've got no use for these.
brand. Anybody that you know.
No use for them at all. All right, that's fine. We'll move on. It's pretty clever, actually.
That's all right.
Very
That's so long I
clever.
didn't even know you had those different names.
But it just shows you that there is a certain commonality in the people who name condoms and name smartphones.
Next, it'll be Android versus stripper names.
Oh,
Tiffany the phone. Yeah.
Tiffany. What do you? We mentioned this, but what do you think of this play and new in the Google bar? Does that bother you?
The new is a little.
Can you
much.
take the new off, Google?
Yeah, the new really draws attention. I mean, that's the point, that it draws your attention to it, but it just, yeah.
I don't.
Hopefully the new won't be there much longer.
The thing that I think is there for the duration. They've changed the bar. There were a couple things that you might not have spotted. Like, for example, that bar used to have it used to be video up there, and they changed it to YouTube. And
Oh,
if you want
interesting.
video, you got to go down below.
Oh, interesting.
And so,
Oh.
and there's a difference, right? There's a difference between using YouTube and using video, but that really seemed to be part of, we're turning this bar into being where you get from Google product to product to product. Right? Because all those things up there are Google products, not necessarily search products.
Right.
Google Search, Google Images. But Images is interesting too, because really, if you're going to put YouTube there, then why isn't Images Picasa, right?
No, maybe it will
Right.
be.
Yeah, so it gets.
Because I
to
don't
be-
think
it
anyone
gets to
knows
be
what
a mix,
Picasa
but-
means, right?
Yeah, Picasa just doesn't have
Change
the
it to
brand.
Google. But where Play really stood out for me is it is the first time I've seen Google put into its navigation a place where you can transact.
Right.
Because Play is really, they're selling content, right? You still have people who are confused and think, oh, that's just for Android, and it's not. It is basically Google's iTunes, where you can go and buy TV, you can go and buy video, you can go and buy books, whatever you want to do. And that is sort of the equivalent of them putting, like, Amazon up there. And that's a weird... It's, again, that weird balancing act. Now, of course, if I go over to Bing and I look at their navigation bar, then up at the top I'm going to get shopping and news and maps and travel and entertainment. And the entertainment is entertainment from the world. It's going to be, Bing's entertainment or whatever. So it kind of falls back into that, you promote yourself.
Maybe I just have to give this notion up that Google is somehow some monastic keeper of the flame up in the heights, and just their company like anybody else.Ey're promoting their products. Gina, you're right. We don't need to give them a free pass anymore. They're just
no more free pass.
Right.
Yeah.
But that makes you have to rethink everything you do on the web, because everything you do on the web has something to do with Google. I mean, even but even with AdSense and analytics, sites that have nothing to do with Google have something to do with Google and YouTube embeds. I mean, it changes the way that you think about being online if you decide that they don't have good intentions, that they aren't about keeping the open web open. I'm having a hard time with it because it's made me. I switched to DuckDuckGo about a month ago. I think we talked.
How's
about
that been? Yeah,
it's been fine. I mean, it's been great. DuckDuckGo has these bang searches where you could do like a exclamation point PHP to search the PHP docs. Shortcuts to other places to search, Wikipedia and things like that. Took me a little bit to learn those, but I really like it. I haven't really missed Google very much at all. I still search Google for maps and images, and on my phone, I use the iPhone. You can't change your search engine in mobile Safari to anything other than Google, than their presets, and DuckDuckGo isn't in there. So I am still using Google Search occasionally, but honestly, I changed the default in Chrome and didn't really notice it. So
do you use an Android phone?
I have an Android handset that I test my apps. I develop apps on.
But you use an iPhone normally?
But I'm carrying an iPhone at the moment.
I mean, I feel like since I carry an Android phone, Google already knows everything.
Yes.
That's not
everything.
true, because you don't. If you really want to have Android and you don't want it to be tied into Google, you can do that. You
change ROMs.
Well, no, you don't even have to do that. You need to have a Google account. So open a generic Google account, and you're done. That Google account doesn't have to be linked into your main Google account. You don't have to use Google account when you do all this stuff.
I see what you're saying.
That?
So create a dummy account. Well, that would work on the web too. Just have an account that you don't use Gmail, you don't use. But I mean that dummy account now is starting to aggregate information about everything you do. Doesn't need your name in it to be.
Well, it's gonna. But I mean, when you do a search on your phone on Android, I don't believe it's gonna log that stuff unless you let it do that.
Oh, okay.
But you're right. I mean, I suppose the dummy account could do that, but I'm pretty sure you.
What
can
are we
turn
so
that off.
scared of?
Well, I'm not.
What are we so?
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, that's
because we take our phones everywhere.
What's
and
the
our phones
harm?
I don't worry about tracking, to be honest. That's what I was talking. That's why I was making a distinction between this kind of moral panic over tracking and this. I think more legitimate to me, anyway. This is my concern. Okay, that's stupid to say it's more legitimate. My concern is not tracking. My concern is that the beautiful, pristine search results are now sullied by economic interests.
That's the monkish concern.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted a pure as the driven snow search result, but that's fine. Who cares? There'll be better search results. I acknowledge that.
But here's the irony: is like at one point Yahoo rolled out this page. You can still find it. It's at search.yahoo.com, and they called it their Yahoo Search Pure Search page. And they did that because Google started becoming more and more popular because it was pure search. Right. And then people would be like, well, we don't want to have all this junk on Yahoo, and they couldn't get away from being a portal. Now, interestingly, Google's homepage continues to remain pure, but Google's search results don't feel pure. Right. There are people who are like, could I just have the search results if I want them without the more by this, without the faces, without all this stuff that in 2005 Marissa Mayer said would never, ever, ever happen on Google search? So it's just ironic. You wonder, how do you do this? How do you become the search engine that you are on the backs of people who forgot what search was all about, and then still cause people saying, how do I get back to old Google search? How do you open up that opportunity for somebody like DuckDuckGo, which incredibly stupid name, which really should have nobody using it, right? And yet, and it's not gonna take Google down. Blacko's not going to take Google down, but you have it appealing to some people who are influencers or whatnot, who are looking at it saying, "Wow, this is satisfying what I want." Google should be doing that themselves. We should have Google DuckDuckGo already.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Hashtag geek problem.
Yeah, of course
exactly.
it is. And but if we don't discuss it, who's gonna?
Yes.
Because Mom's not talking about it. But if we don't discuss this, who is going to? And this is our job, right? I see this as our job to surface these issues. And I know the chat room's going, oh, I'm sick of this. Let's talk about games in Hangouts. Okay.
I want Google to have competitors. That's why
I do too.
I'm excited that DuckDuckGo has been fine for me. I'm excited that they will not take Google down. But I also don't like the idea that Google's so far ahead of anyone, can do whatever they want, and that it doesn't seem like there's a viable alternative. I think that there are, and Google maintains that its users can leave and that there are plenty of viable alternatives. So I think it's kind of incumbent on us to say, hey, that there are alternatives, and here's what they are, and here's what the trade-offs are. And DuckDuckGo isn't a great name, but you get used to it. It kind of grows on you.
Yeah.
And there is in a discussion in DuckDuckGo about how to change your browser to make sure that it uses it instead of Google, right? Well, it does a lot of stuff too. Look at this. I'm gonna do that, Gina. I'm going to DuckDuckGo. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go Duck.
Try.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what you think.
What do you use, Danny?
Enjoy Bing, because that's part of what it is, but.
Oh, that's a good point. The results are Bing results. Is that right?
Well, that's
the other thing is that DuckDuckGo depends on having Bing and Blacko largely for its web search results.
Right.
So that if it really did get big, then you have to have them go through and try to negotiate a deal to kind of keep all those search results coming there. But yeah, it's nice. There's things to like about it. And if you're missing that pure search experience, there's things to play with. And if you're worried about privacy, goodness knows that's one of the things that they've been pushing at, which is, we don't have this personalization and stuff happening.
How are they going to make money?
They're probably not.
No. That's the thing here is we have to admit that this is a capitalistic requirement. Now,
nothing's
Google
free, and Google spends money on search, as does DuckDuckGo.
And Google may mess up its whole business. Google may, in fact, this is the risk. This is the huge risk. They could lose our trust. They could become ugly. They could become cluttered. You see Yahoo, they become a pain in the butt. All of those things could happen. So on execution, they could absolutely mess up, no doubt about it. But they're running a business, and so they're going to do what the business needs. And Gina, you were right when you said earlier, we're going back over the same territory, but you said right, that the wise way to run the business is to put the user first. They've always said that. Let's hope that's possible.
I just wish this weren't on my Google search page because I can't stop staring at it. I'm scared. So let's talk about Hangouts. There are games now in Hangouts, right? Is that what I hear? How do I do it? I want to do it. I want to play.
You can put things on people's faces. You can.
No, that I know about, but there's like actual games. There's like
they've added more stuff now.
So how do I do this? Does anybody know? So I'm making a Hangout.
Go to the store.
Not a Hangout.
Is it not from the Hangouts?
No, I just
where'd the story go?
You don't like Hangouts, Danny?
No. I get
up.
I haven't had a shower. I'm not going to be dressed. It's like, oh, look, Leo's doing a Hangout. I should go join that.
Yeah, why don't you? Join my Hangout. You could play a game with me.
I think the world will collapse if we all end up in your Hangout that's being broadcast on the show.
We did that. Actually, it worked really well for the
and I'm gonna plug
iPad
Hangout in a few minutes.
announcement. We had a great and I invited tech journalists. So they've got screen sharing. We knew about that. That's not brand new.
I'm in your Hangout, but I don't
playing poker together.
I could play poker now.
Oh.
So this becomes the Zynga-ification of.
They have the Clubhouse Challenge, which is a trivia contest. You have
framing.
So how do I add these? Oh, I have to add them. Is that it? Slide shares in it.
Leo, where'd your Hangout go? You're like gone.
Oh, fatal server. This, by the way, Google has clearly decided that I'm persona non grata. Not only am I off the suggested user list, but most of the time when I do a Hangout, I get a dead robot. That's why my Hangout went away.
Sad.
It's all right. I don't care. So just we can't demonstrate it because I don't know why. Wait a minute. Come hang with us. Play the WWHL Google Hangout Clubhouse Challenge.
Just click on that play button.
And then now I'm in Bravo territory, and this has. Oh, I see. You have to go through Bravo, and then go into a Bravo Hangout. I don't understand how it works.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
Oh, dang.
There you go.
No one is here right now. It's very quiet.
Well, while we're on Hangouts, can I do a plug?
Would you please do something?
Trey Harris, who's a wonderful, wonderful guy in the New York office of Google. This is not under his Google.
I like Trey a lot. Yeah,
Trey is just a great, great guy, and he wants to play with Hangouts because he says that, in his view, and I agree with him, the conversation on Google Plus is good, but Hangouts are awkward. They're often people just sitting there saying, "So, what are we talking about?
What you doing? Yeah,
can you button up your pajamas there, Danny?
What you up to?"
So he wants to have some kind of content around that. So I'm very flattered that he's using as the first subject matter Gutenberg the Geek. Have a drink, guys.
Oh, good.
Wow.
And so,
when's that going to be?
If you go, it'll be Sunday. And if you go to at 4:00 Eastern, if you go to Google Plus and search for plus T3W, that's plus T3W, you'll see Trey's post about it. It's an experiment. And he wants to have the best, most intriguing commenters in the comments. He will then invite in to the Hangout. So it's not just kind of random who's coming in. And he'll manage it just enough and have a topic and content and see how it goes.
All right, I'm going to give you a promo for it. You ready?
Right.
Sunday. Join Trey Harris as he talks about Gutenberg as he goes around. 4 p.m. Sunday. The amazing Google Hangout and their nitro-fueled funny cars. Sunday.
Your face went red. That was great.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm awake now.
Did you used to have to do that for pay, Leo?
Yeah, actually, I have done those.
You have done those.
I have done those as a job.
Wow.
Sunday.
I always wanted to meet a Sunday guy, and I just did.
Oh, it's those nitro-fueled funny cars. Actually, I'm funranium-fueled today. I have that new cold-brewed coffee in my veins. So
sent you something on Google Plus, Leo, for a coffee maker, an espresso maker in your car.
No. See, espresso uses hot water. I'm all about the cold brewing now. It's a whole new thing. I have just purchased a Yama cold brew drip tower.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
Oh, yeah. Next time you come over, take a look at this.
Take away his credit card.
This looks like paraphernalia.
It does.
That is paraphernalia, baby.
Good
and you know,
coffee.
they start you. It's $200, which is expensive, but look, that's just the beginning. But I like the brass fittings and stuff. Doesn't that look like a way to make coffee?
How
Yeah,
soon
that
before
was
that?
fun.
You get coffee out of that?
Oh yeah, 13 hours later you get coffee out of that. That's
And
the
then
problem.
You have to heat the coffee up?
You can't be in a hurry.
Slow coffee.
Wow.
But then Sunday, watch Leo's head explode. As long as we got Danny here, who is an expert on search at searchengineland.com, let's ask him about Panda.
Oh, God, let's not.
Okay.
Yeah. Google rolled out another.
I'm easy. I'm nothing if not easy.
Yeah.
What is it? What is Panda?
No, you want to talk about something, you got to talk about the new over-optimization penalty that's coming.
We did talk about that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, because Matt mentioned that. You optimize too much, you're going to get in trouble. What do you think of that?
I think it's bull.
Really? Well, but you're in this. Come on, Danny. You're in the pocket of search engine optimizers everywhere.
No, I did a post on Tuesday, and it was like, have they jumped the shark with over-optimization? Because I feel like, we need to have yet another penalty. You don't even enforce the penalties you have.
Oh.
Go do a search. Go do a search for SEO, and look for any company that comes up. Usually, it's like SEO India or SEO, some geography. Then go do a backlink lookup, and all you'll see are these links that are dropped in forums or blogs or templates or all these things that Google will tell you do not work. And they do work.
But they do work.
And they do work. And not only do they work, but they work for something like SEO, which you think Google would be watching like a hawk, right?
The first thing they'd fix.
Right. So but they can't fix that, which is a long-standing penalty, a long-standing no-no that they said you shouldn't be doing this, blah, 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 blah. But you know what we should do? We should have a super penalty, because there's nothing better than when Google in November tells people that SEO isn't spam and SEO is actually something you should be doing, and there is actually stuff that you ought to be thinking about on your web pages, good general best practices, good general things, not trying to screw with anybody's, rankings like that. You're just, can the search engines find your content? Is it well structured? Is it all these kinds of things? Then say, but if you do too much of that, you'll get a penalty. But we won't tell you what too much of it is. And actually what they're talking about is the idea that really you're just being spammy. That's the core of what I don't like about it. They've been fairly clear to explain that there's SEO and that there's spam and that they're two different things. Just like there's email marketing and there's spam mail.
Right.
And they're not necessarily the same thing.
Right.
So then when you come out with this, we may be coming up with an over-optimization penalty, you confuse the two things together, and it felt to me much more like it was a nice PR thing to toss out, because I guess maybe they've been feeling heat that people think, oh, I did this search result and all I get is this SEO garbage that comes up. And it's not SEO garbage necessarily. It could just be spam that Google didn't catch. So what you really need are better spam filters. But yeah, so I got some gripes with Matt on that particular subject.
Wow.
Yeah.
Start him up. It's the nitro-fueled Danny Sullivan.
That makes sense, though, Danny. I'm
with
with
you.
you. Thought about that.
Yeah,
one.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
It's so, and I think that Matt, and I didn't hear him talk about it on the show. He talked about it briefly. It was on the panel we were doing at South by Southwest.
That's actually what we talked about. We have not had Matt on to talk about it since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I think really what happens is what he is probably really talking about is if we see that you're spamming in multiple areas, we may be able to use that as a better thing. And I think he probably needs to think about a better way of saying it. But yeah. As for Panda, by the way, yeah, they made another update that's designed to try to catch content that they think is, of low quality. And this is an ongoing process; it doesn't end. I keep trying to describe that Panda is like taking a strainer, and you take all the content from the web and you dump it into the strainer and you shake it all up and you see what comes out, and that's the good stuff. And the stuff that it catches, that's the stuff that you go, oh, we don't want this to do as well. And then you realize when you get done that there were things that got through some of the holes in the strainer. And you're like, okay, we're going to make a new strainer. We're going to change it so that these things that are getting through don't get through, and some of the stuff that was getting caught that shouldn't have get caught, we'll fix it. And so you kind of change that filter in your strainer and you switch it around. So every 3 or 4 weeks they changed the filter, and they just did that again. So, if you were getting caught by mistake, there's a chance you're going to be out. If you fix the things that were probably wrong, maybe you'll get out. And if you were getting by and you should have been caught, then maybe you'll get caught more with it.
A couple of quickies, some new services from Google. I use a third-party. I use a couple of third-party commenting systems on Leoville. I use JSKit's Echo. We use Discuss, I think, on one of our blogs. Google, according to the Next Web, is going into the business. They're going to create a third-party commenting platform.
Let me guess. It's going to be based on Google+.
What a surprise. Yes, it is.
It's
We saw this coming, right? I mean, it seemed like a natural
escape.
You cannot escape Google+. And yet, you know what? I'll tell you why, and this is what bugs me. There really is the same reason Lady Gaga joined Google+. There's a lot of incentive now to use Google tools. And I feel bad for Discuss and Livefire and all the other third-party commenting systems because
Discuss is very good. I don't know why.
I love Discuss. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, of course, Facebook's been in this for a little while. Facebook has a third-party platform. Do they not, or they're going to?
Yes, they do. You can use Facebook comments, and then your comments can appear on Facebook and all that. But I like Discuss better because you can sign in with many identities, Facebook, Twitter, and such.
Yeah, that's why I use both JSKit and Echo. And the other thing is that they kind of capture social media commenting outside of your blog and bring it back into the blog, which has always, to me, been the serious advantage of that. Also, I keep hearing about Google Drive. According to GigaOM, it's coming next month. Google Drive, their competitor for, Dropbox. Om Malik writing a couple of days ago says G Drive is coming first week of April 2012, according to his sources. Google's not talking.
Next week?
That's next week.
I mean, but this story has come up, I feel like, every 6 months.
I know. I almost didn't. So. If it weren't Ohm, I wouldn't say it. But Ohm is Ohm. Ohm is Ohm. Ohm, sweet Ohm.
What's amazing is that they haven't rolled it out yet, but maybe they need to rename it Google Plus Drive and take some
There you go. That's what's missing. There supposedly, according to the details from my sources, says Ohm, a gigabyte of storage for free, which is not much. Dropbox offers 2, SkyDrive 25, local client and web interface that will look like Google Docs.
I'm going to bet it's going to be more awkward than Dropbox.
Yeah, I'm going to bet you're right.
I'm trying to think of what I use. I use what's the thing I use?
They will have a third party.
Live Mesh.
Live Mesh, yeah.
Nobody ever talks about Live Mesh, which I think is awesome. I think I get 5 gigabytes on it.
That's because I believe it's been folded into. It's so confusing. I think it's been folded into SkyDrive.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but it's awesome. I mean, I got one folder on my computer, and anything I throw in that folder meshes.
And it's cross-platform. It's Mac and PC. No, I like Mesh. Yeah,
it's really beautiful.
I've been using it for a while, but I think it's SkyDrive, and SkyDrive is 25 gigs, which is nice. Supposedly, Google will have a third-party API right up front for its Google Drive, which would be good. You know, the reason I think I keep using Dropbox, despite lots of reasons to use something else. It's expensive. You know, there's the issue of, you know, there's no real privacy on it, but it works with everything. All these third-party apps. I bet To Do Text works with Dropbox.
Yeah,
right?
To Do Text is integrated with Dropbox.
That's right.
Because it's what everybody it's what everybody uses. It's what everybody wanted, you know, first. So. And
I presume that if Google did something that you would, and it had a good API, you'd probably add that as a feature.
Yep. Yeah, we want to make it so you can choose your cloud provider. Right now, we just do Dropbox, but. Yeah. I'm excited to see Google Drive, but I still don't believe it. I mean, I believe Ohm, but I feel like...
Yeah, we'll see.
This has been supposed to come for a long time, but it's supposed to be next week, so I'm excited.
We'll Pinterest, the president, is now on Pinterest.
It's real. It's mainstream, baby.
I found a lovely frock today.
WTF.
There was a great photo of the president with a lightsaber on the White House lawn on Pinterest. I don't know if it was his account. It's the president's campaign or it's the White House?
Run by Obama for America, which is his campaign.
Okay, so it's the campaign. Okay.
Pet lovers for Obama, Obama-inspired recipes, Obama in action, Obama art, the first family. Well, why not? Why not?
I saw a story today. I didn't put on the list of a guy who's making thousands a day spamming Pinterest.
Right.
Saying it's the easiest platform to spam.
And he admits it. He stepped up and stepped forward.
So Pinteresting.
Here's a plug from Jeff for...
by the way, Leo, we just posted a story out on Marketing Land because they commented on it on the spam for us now formally, and they said, yes, we're actively working to fight spam, and it's a tremendous priority.
Of course it is. Tremendous.
Of course it is.
We've extended an offer to Matt Cutts, and as soon as he joins our team, we will be fighting spam. Matt McGee writing that article at marketingland.com. No, I made up the part about Matt Cutts. But not the actively working. It's a tremendous priority. That's true. This is what Pinterest spam looks like. This is the problem. How can you tell?
Yeah.
You can't. He's spamming with affiliate links, basically, right? Yeah.
I think this is brilliant.
Oh, I like that dress.
Yeah. I would buy this. So there you go. Because that'll fit guys of all sizes. But it's nicer than a
little black number like that, yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking at the little black number.
Oh, yeah, always. I'm a classical, you know?
Classic, yeah. Little string of pearls. Here is Kickstarter, a web series project that you wanted to plug. Let's give you your chance.
Yeah, they came to me out of nowhere. They're big Twig fans, so they'll be all cheering right now.
Woohoo!
And they're making a web series, fictional, about a bad regulation in law that gets passed.
Oh, I like it. HR 9281.
They're going to do real interviews with folks like me as part of it. And it looks very good. And as they said, Hollywood will never do this story because Hollywood wrote Sopa and Pipa. So I would urge folks to go to
this.
Look up Free and Open, and I think it's very, very neat.
They're trying to raise $52,000. They're up to $6,127. As you know, on Kickstarter, that they have to raise their amount before your pledge is real. 27 days to go. I think this would be a good web season. This is such an interesting way, and I kind of wish Kickstarter had been around when I started TWiT, because this would be a much better way to launch shows. Maybe
I was going to ask you earlier.
Well, I'll give you an example. Game On, which is a gaming show that we launched, we try to give it some high production values, costs us about $5,000 to $7,000 an episode. We've done 12 episodes, so we're at $74,000 in. Would have loved to have had that funded, because it's risky. The problem is, and I'm not sure I really like this. What is your reward for giving us money? You get a show, right?
Well, but there's various things. Yes, that's why I gave you this thing, is I get a show, but I also get a T-shirt. And the other thing is what am I doing right now? The real advantage they get isn't just the money. That's the key advantage, but it's also the promotion. Because if you want it made, you're going to go tell friends and try to mow them into.
No, I understand the benefit to the producer is huge. I just think it seems a little bit. I mean, you're giving them money, but you're not really getting anything for your money.
Right? No. But what I'm saying is that I feel as if if you give $2,500 to this thing, you get a co-executive producer credit.
Excellent.
Yeah, you kind of have to come up with credits, or you burn it to a DVD and have Veronica or whoever sign it. You have to kind of get.
I think this market's going to collapse, because ultimately people are going to realize I've bought several things on Kickstarter and I've never seen anything. I think this market is going to collapse.
I think that's where the next question comes: is the law that's passing in Congress going through now to allow you to instead get equity at a low level. $1,000.
Right, that's the new jobs bill.
That's the thing, and I can't remember the name of the company. There's a company that in the UK where it is legal and encouraged under tax law for people to invest at a low level.
Kevin Mark says I'm dead wrong that Kickstarter is brilliant, and there's a lot of good stuff being done by Kickstarter. I just feel like there is this impression people are getting that they're getting something for their money, and really they're just giving people money.
Well, yes and no.
You get something early. You get a discount on things. The first thing I did was the Obama design book. I bought it for $50. It was then sold for $80. So I got something very real tangible. I got a discount.
Yeah. I bought the iPod Watch band, and I just was pre-buying it at a discount, and I got it, and I was pleased with it, and I felt part of something.
I guess it's my fault. I supported things that I like some gaming dice I still haven't seen.
Well, that's not your fault. I have funded projects that I've also still kind of waiting to get the thing that they promised, and I'm kind of hoping that there's just a delay and I might not see it, but I may not see it. That's part of the risk.
This is a game, Startup Fever, with parts and boards and everything that I got from my entrepreneurial students. But I thought it was really cool to turn starting businesses into a game, and by God, they got it made, and here it is.
Well, that I understand. I'm just saying for investing in television shows. I mean, I want free and open to go.
I think that's. But then it was 20% of Sundance funding.
No. I mean, it's just the idea. Look, I buy TV show. I bought Mad Men. I bought the whole series. Right? I'm so excited. Right? And I guess if I knew Mad Men were going to be that good before they produced it, I would have said, "Hey, here's $100. That's great." But I didn't know. How do you know?
No, you don't.
Well, TWiT hasn't established. I mean, I back Zay Frank. Zay Frank's. The show is coming
that was
back.
good. I would support
really
that.
Happy to do that, right?
Because Zay's great. Yeah.
TWiT has a track record for shipping great shows. So if you put something on Kickstarter, I think people would know. Maybe. I mean, it works much better for people who are well known, who have done great work and have proved that they.
We tried to get the. We actually tried Kickstarter. We tried to get on. They said no.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's a commercial. There are some rules around.
We wanted to do the bricks. We wanted to do the brick sales.
That's just for fundraising. You see, Leo, if you're going to start a new show, I'll just give you an example, and you got to come up with the benefits. Let's say that somebody gave $2,000. Would you let them in the official show Hangout that you integrate the way you have?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I could think of premiums.
Can't. Okay.
I don't know. Let's take a break, and we're going to stick with our model, which is I read a commercial.
God bless them.
Thank goodness we got great advertisers who do believe in our product. And it is in a similar way, but I mean, they get something for it. They get an ad for a product, and they don't buy ads if they don't get a return on their investment. So it just feels to me like a clean transaction. It's like, yeah, I've got this great audience. You've got something that they might be interested in. Let me tell them about it, and if they are interested in it and they buy it in sufficient numbers, then you will continue to buy ads. It's very straightforward.
Yeah.
And this is a good example. Stamps.com, which I've been a user. Almost all of our advertisers, I think. In fact, I think all of them I use. That's part of the criteria for being an advertiser on our shows. Is I gotta use it, and I've been using Stamps since I think 2004. Stamps. The whole idea of Stamps.com is you don't have to go to the post office anymore. If that's really all I should have to say, you don't have to go to the post office anymore. That's good. Now, how much would you pay? You bring the post office to your desk, and that means you can print any postage for anything, even international, from your computer and your printer. No special ink. You don't need a postage meter. Are you using a postage meter? Why? Go to Stamps.com right now and print your postage as needed. In fact, I've got a now. See, there's a special offer. Don't do that. Click the microphone. I don't know that old-fashioned microphone, and use the offer code TWIG. And look what happens to that $80 special offer. It becomes a $110 special offer. How do you like that? $55 in free postage, this USB scale, and a 4-week trial of Stamps.com. All you have to do is pay shipping and handling. And I got to tell you, for international, they fill out the forms for you. You know, mailing something internationally is a real chore. You got to go to the post office, figure it all out. If you're an Amazon seller, an eBay seller, this is a boon. Just if you're a small business, this is how we use it. I mean, it's just incredible. Stamps.com, $110 bonus offer. All you have to do is go to Stamps.com and use the offer code TWIG. Over 2 billion letters and packages have been mailed to date from Stamps.com. They also do, they work with QuickBooks, so they can import your QuickBooks address book, things like that. It makes it very easy to do invoices. It's just really nice. Stamps.com, use the offer code TWIG. See, to me, that's I like that. That's a clean transaction. They like us, we like them. You might like them, you would use them. If not, no big deal. All right, it's time for our tip, number, and tool of the week. Let's start with, as we always do, Gina Trapani.
Google added a new beta feature to the accounts area of your Google account. It's called Account Activity, and it gives you stats about what you do using Google services. So this is pretty cool. I checked it out. You turn it on. You go to it's google.com/settings/activity, I think, and you
have to opt into this.
You have to opt into it, right? And it's beta. And basically what they do is it generates reports about your activities. So, for example, I just opted into this earlier today, and I got my first report. And it told me that I received 2,100 emails in the past month, and I wrote 114. And it listed the people who I contact the most and how many messages I sent them next to it. So it's a kind of a neat, kind of this quantified self kind of thing, but based on your online activity. So it's similar to the dashboard. Here's all the information we have about you, but showing you stats and analytics. So it's I really like this. I use Rescue Time. I think I've mentioned this before, which kind of monitors what you do in your computer. And this is kind of similar. I mean, it doesn't give you a productivity score or anything, but it kind of lets you see, I sent an average of 4 emails a day, and I received 71. That's something I didn't realize before. And it's got stats on your web history, Picasa web albums, where you sign in from your accounts and using what products. So I've signed in from Android, iPhone, and Mac, on mobile and Chrome, what locations, what countries and locations. So it's really interesting. So not only is it kind of interesting information about yourself, but it's also kind of a good account security thing, because you can kind of review, where are people logging into my accounts? Is there anything here that looks unusual? As well as you can say, maybe I should spend a little less time writing email, or a little more time writing email, as it were. Either way.
Well, let's compare, Gina. I received 4,231 emails and sent 703.
Whoa. Wow, you're way ahead of me. Way ahead of me.
It should have an email to incoming to outgoing ratio.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
And a goal, and your goal. I want a 7.3 ratio.
I mean, if you sign up to a bunch of mailing lists and you automatically archive and label them, which I do, it's not really representative of every email that's just sent just to you. Right. But the email sent stats are pretty good. So you sent 700 emails last month, Jeff. That's a lot. You spent a lot of time emailing. I mean,
I hate email, and I'm really bad at it.
Yeah. There you go. I want stats about how length of email. I want even more. It's how many words did I type into the Gmail compose box?
Yeah. Are you going to tell us how many you sent, Gina?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to tell us how many you sent?
I sent 114 in the past month, so not very many.
Wow.
She's a slacker.
Yeah, an average of 4 a day.
A few and precious words.
Yeah, I mean, part of my job is answering messages on a mailing list. I run an open source project, so I thought that it would be a lot more than that. Apparently, I'm a big slacker.
Slacker. I love, we're data nerds, and I think I can't wait to find out my body metrics and everything. I just want it all in one big dashboard.
It's true. It's true.
Your heartbeats per email sent.
Heartbeats per email sent. Yes. Yeah, right. I want to hook up an Arduino board to measure my heart rate and my breathing. Linda Stone does that thing about how you don't breathe when you're on your computer.
Exactly.
I want to know my blood pressure, my heartbeats, my breathing, how stressed out I am.
Yep.
So when I'm rage emailing, I'll know.
Oh my God, I was doing that today.
Don't we all?
Rage email. Wow. I know you have another tip, Gina. Save it. You're an overachiever. Just save it.
Okay.
Because we're running out of time, and I want to get Jeff Jarvis's number of the week.
All right, Leo, if you go down on the list to the 200,000 miles driven by the Google car safely, and they made a video of this, and I suggest we just watch it to the point where the man gets into the parking spot.
All 200 miles? I mean, 200,000 miles? Oh, this is the guy. Is this a Google car driver?
Nope, this is just a guy. They're taking for a drive.
Okay, we'll just watch. Oh, there's the Google autonomous vehicle with the LiDAR on the roof. The door should just open because they know a guy's coming to get in. Okay. Hello. Welcome. I'm your Google car. I'd like to drive you today.
Auto driving.
Auto driving.
Away we go.
Look. He's gripping.
That is so eerie, isn't it?
It is eerie. He's gripping that thing. Oh, I mean, I'd be so nervous. At the speed it's going, you can't react fast enough to...
No hands anywhere. No hands, no feet.
Holy crap, I want to try this.
Do you?
Is it the greatest thing on Earth?
This seems scarier than going into space.
I kind of feel the way about this about skydiving. Like, I know that she'll be safe, but I'm terrified. But I still really want to try it.
They had it at last year at TED. They had it where you could go out, and I went in it, and they actually, and I've got a video up on our Search Engine Land channel, but they actually took off all the safeties. So it was in a parking lot, and it's screaming around this parking lot at like 30 miles an hour, and it was freaky.
It's pulling into a parking lot.
No, it's going to go first to get a burrito.
It can navigate Taco Bell.
It to do Taco Bell. Yes, isn't that great?
It knows about Fourth Supper.
I'm doing very well. How are you today?
Fourth Supper.
What do they call it?
Not the punchline though. Wait till he pulls in
Fourth meal. It knows about fourth meal.
Some of the best driving I've ever.
Was he going to the strip club next?
You'll see. No.
Thank you. We're on Mexico.
Soon. Boom, ba-dum, ba-dum. Hello.
Hi, neighbor.
Nice man.
I'm not driving. Wait a minute. That's a handicapped spot.
Well, look.
Oh, he's blind. Oh, my God.
Isn't that the greatest thing?
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Well past legally blind.
Great reveal. Wow.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, except that I think everything we just saw was illegal.
I don't think blind people should be sitting at the wheel.
No, you can't drive somebody has to be behind the wheel and be able to be in control of that car.
Well, he says he's
driving it.
And
he's eating a burrito while he drives. Holy cow. Okay.
That's still the greatest thing on Earth, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because I said, wait a minute, that's a handicapped lot.
Exactly. That's what I said, too. I was going to make fun of the car.
Wow.
There he goes.
Okay. If you're blind, you can drive. You can use a self-driving car. Number one. He was the very first. That is in Morgan Hill. Wow, that is quite beautiful. That is. I love that. Thank you.
That's a powerful video. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Wow. I don't know what to say.
I know. My brain feels kind of scrambled by all that.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I'm all for autonomous vehicles. I can't wait.
I am too.
It will be safer. The carrying capacity of the highways will be better. Efficiency. I was just thinking about this. Think of all the gas we'll save. How many times did you drive around the block looking for a parking spot? You don't have to do that anymore. You just get out of the car and you say, go home. And it just,
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
In fact, you don't even personal ownership of cars, which is a huge environmental impact. Way ridiculous. Goes away.
Car. Trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Trigger. Come here, Trigger.
There's no more personal ownership of cars.
That was a reference no one will get.
Trigger. Yeah, I got it. Hi-yo, Sullivan.
Do you know who's Trigger?
A horse or something? A dog?
Yeah.
It's Roy Rogers' horse. He's stuffed.
Right, a horse. Yes. Yeah.
Right next to Dale. So My tool of the week is something that I'm going to bring down. I tweeted about it this morning, and I already brought their server down once. So let's do it again. What do you say? A lot of people feel jealousy. It's on the Android phone. A lot of people feel jealousy over the fact that Instagram is only available on iOS, and it will, they'd say, soon be available, as they've been saying for months, on Android. But you know what? Good news. There is now something better than Instagram. It is both iOS and Android and the web, which is one reason it's better, because Instagram's never had a good web interface. It's called IMEYEEM.com. Do you have an over-the-shoulder? There it is. And so the whole idea of Instagram and other picture programs like this is you take a picture. In fact, let me do one. I'll do one right now of you, Gina. Let's just take a picture of Gina. And I'll show you the UI is so slick. So I've taken a picture of Gina. Now, one of the things that Instagram became famous for was all its filters. There are some really great filters. And look at this. You swipe to change filters, which Instagram does not do. So pick a filter that you like. That's a little blown out. Let's see. They've got a couple of really good black and white filters. So you see, that's a nice one. How about that?
Cool.
And I can also I can also pick a frame. Same thing. Swipe to change frames. Let's... Actually, let me just do this fast. Okay, there's a frame. Let's say hello to that. And now, this is the fun part. Now I can say, I can tag it. It already knows I'm at the Brickhouse Studio, so I'll keep that. But if I tick this, I can go through other things. Chad, Realm. Here's all the locations. These are all Foursquare-style locations. I'll go back to the TWiT Brickhouse Studios. This is what I like. These are activities. So I can, great performance, watching, interesting exhibition. I'm watching, Gina, but I can have I can type in something, and these become albums. So I'm watching at the TWiT Brickhouse Studio, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Flickr, and Foursquare uploads. So I'll do Foursquare and Facebook upload. And what I love is now there is a watching folder, and this will join the watching folder for other people who are watching. And I can also see this place
the delicious of life.
Yeah. So this is happening near you. This place is near you. So I'm seeing all the pictures in the TWiT Brickhouse Studio. And these are some albums: Green, Petaluma. I favorited a few: On the Road, Breakfast, Dreaming. So I think this is very elegant. And I think they have a very nice web page that also supports this. It does, of course, support Friends, but nobody's using it yet. So I thought I'd tell you about it. It has Popular, which is very much like Instagram. This is called IMEYEEM, and it, frankly, is now giving us parity on Android to Instagram, which has been iOS only. It is also on iOS, so I think it's going to do very well. And no, there's no Google Plus integration. Another great feature.
Wow.
Ow! No, I'm not bitter.
Cool.
I'm not bitter. I'm really not. I'm not. In fact, I'm surprised it doesn't have Google Plus integration, but I'm sure if it had a right API, it would.
Well,
so now I can make ordinary photos look like terrible Polaroid photos.
Yes.
On Android.
Yes. Exactly. Finally. Actually, there's about 14 very nice filters.
And you can change history and fictionalize reality.
Yeah, and it has features of color, highlight, and other things. So you can see who's taking pictures near you, what's happening near you. Where I have a folder that's Petaluma. These are all pictures been taken in Petaluma. It says this is my city. So this is fun. I just think they've done a nice job with that. Black and white photos are really spectacular. And oh, by the way, when you're looking at a photo, they use I would look at this, Gina, as a developer, because they use the UI, I think, very nicely. When you're looking at a photo, you can swipe and it starts doing a slideshow. So there's
that's very nice.
Yeah, it's now. You see how slow it is? We've brought it down.
Yeah, I'm installing this right now.
Yeah,
it looks really
see that?
neat.
That's because we're all using it at the same time. It is normally fairly snappy.
So you waited to say the name until you were done.
I did.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah. I like it. We broke the system. It has a web interface that's good too. EYEEM.com. There we go. That's it. We are out of time. It's 3 o'clock. Perfect. I want to thank Danny Sullivan, SearchEngineLand.com and MarketingLand.com. Any other lands you want to specify?
No, two lands is enough.
2 lands is enough. He's the king of 2 kingdoms, the United Kingdom and the Danny Kingdom. Thank you, Danny. Great to have you. Always nice to have your insight. Jeff Jarvis is going to be Sunday, part of a focus of a hangout that Trey Harris is doing. If you want to know more about that, you can go to Google Plus and search. What is the search term, Jeff?
T3W, plus T3W. And for Trey, or just look up Trey Harris, and you'll see it there. Look up me and find it, and get in the discussion, and then join in. And it's about drinking time, Gutenberg the Geek.
So it's a T3W is a Google Plus page
That he created for this experiment in trying to create basically the Charlie Rose of Google Plus.
Wow. And is he the Charlie Rose?
He's the Charlie Rose.
Wow. Good for him. Good for him.
He's a great guy, Trey.
4 p.m. Eastern.
He was incredibly organized going through this stuff with me and and I said, my God, Danny, I need you to run my life. And he laughed and he said, well, I was a sysadmin and an Eagle Scout.
Was he? Wow. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, he's so organized. He's just brilliant.
I think I have the wrong T3W. It's all in Arabic.
Oops.
Let me see if I can find the right. Oh, there's 2 T3Ws. That's why. Look for the one where the logo is T3W and it says an experiment in conversations live online. This is why I'm excited about Hangouts. I know you don't like them, Danny, but I think this empowers everyday people to become broadcasters, and I think this is really interesting.
Yeah, this will be live, and it becomes, but by the way, he was concerned. He didn't want to, worry you, Leo, on this. I said, no, Leo loves openness all around.
Great.
People pay. That's great.
I'm following it right now. And it's right against me in the radio show, but that's okay. Thank you.
This is why we can record things.
My radio show
this way I can watch TWiT then. So
yeah, doesn't compete with TWiT, thank goodness. But I don't think the radio show people even know what a Hangout is. So Jeff is at the City University of New York. He blogs at buzzmachine.com. His book is Public Parts. You must buy it now, as well as Gutenberg the Geek, an Amazon single for 99 cents. In fact, you have to buy that before you watch the show on Sunday. Gina Trapani is at smarterware.org. Don't forget to vote for ThinkUp in the night challenge on Tumblr. Just heart it. And we want to actually I should just go to Tumblr and see.
Yeah, give me a heart. Give me a heart. Thank you so much for everyone who hearted it during the show. I think we're up 200 hearts.
Oh, really?
Past 30 minutes.
We've had
thank you so much.
A doubling of hearts.
And join in the discussion there, folks. You have smart things to add to it. Knight loves that too.
Yes. They're looking for engagement, not merely hearts.
It's true. That's true. So, there's a great comments thread actually going on below saying how we're crazy and but we might have a shot. So chime in.
My favorite.
Love to hear that.
Crazy but might have a shot.
I feel like whenever someone's telling you that the thing you're trying to do is too hard or can't be done, that makes me want to do it more. So bring it on, people.
Gina is also a blogger at smarterware.org. Thank you all for being here. We do this show every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern at twit.tv. Watch live if you can. It's always great to have you in the chat room, but if you can't, of course, we make audio and video available after the fact at twit.tv. TNT, our daily news show, is coming up next with Tom Merritt, Ayaz Akhtar, and Sarah Lane. Pat Ayaz on the back. It's his 1-year anniversary. Today. He's been here for a year.
Happy anniversary. Twitterversary.
It's his Twitterversary. Or Twiday. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google.